Hi, my name is Anna Jones. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and an online intuitive eating coach. Today I wanted to talk to you about why weight loss is not actually a compliment. I know it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but I want to explain today why it is just not a compliment that you should be using in your day-to-day life. But first, I wanted to let you know, just like a disclaimer, this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You should always contact your physician or dietitian or any other attending clinicians before you make any changes to your diet or lifestyle. Okay, so let's be honest here. How many times have you been on a diet because your goal is to lose like 10, 20, however many pounds in order to make your body smaller so that you feel more confident and you look more attractive? And chances are, if you did lose that weight, you probably have heard, oh, hey, have you lost weight? You look great. Or, wow, that's a lot of weight. That's awesome. There's also a pretty good chance that you've actually lost weight on this diet. Maybe you lost like 10 pounds, you're feeling great. People are giving you compliments like, oh, hey, you lost 10 pounds, right? You look fantastic. What did you do? And when you hear all that positive feedback, you're like, oh yeah, this diet is working great. I really need to make sure that I keep working hard and I keep working at this diet. But what happens when you gain the weight back? What do people usually say then? But if you watched my last video, you would have seen that 95% of diets fail. So is it really a compliment to tell someone, oh, hey, you look great because you lost weight? The short answer is no. Weight loss is not a compliment. And let's talk about why. The first reason is that when you compliment someone for their weight loss, it places emphasis that their ultimate goal should be weight loss, rather than focusing on their overall health. So this is what I mean by that. So say someone goes on a diet, they start moving in ways that feel great to them, so they're getting, a consistent amount of physical activity. They've started maybe eating more fruits and vegetables, maybe some more whole grains. They're drinking lots of water, they're getting a lot of sleep, but they're still maybe including some of those foods that they really enjoy. Like they have that pretty good balance with what they're eating in terms of health and also in terms of just enjoyment. So say someone's worked really hard to achieve that really good balance in their life. They're feeling good, they feel like they have a lot more energy, a lot more mobility, and for that, they're able to spend more time maybe chasing around their kids, or maybe now every single night they're walking around the block with their partner and spending lots of quality time with them. Or maybe they've been focusing on doing a little bit more meditation or journaling or some self-care. So their overall stress levels are decreased. So say they've made all of those changes and then they step on the scale and they don't see any weight loss. How do you think that person is going to feel? They're going to feel pretty crappy, right? I mean, they put all this time, all this energy, they've been working hard, they've been really focusing on physical activity and reducing their stress levels and eating ways that make them feel better. And, they've done all of these things, but basically all of that is negated or, kind of canceled out, because that scale doesn't reflect weight loss. And so for that reason, they just start feeling really bad about themselves or really bad about their progress. They feel like they could be working harder, they should have done more, or they're not doing enough. But in reality, if you kind of think back to all those things that I listed that went really well in their life and all the changes that they've made into their lifestyle, those still have a positive effect on their overall health and well-being. Because they're, maybe eating more consistently, they're moving in ways that they feel good, they're hydrating their body, they're feeling less stressed, they're focusing on self-care. And all of those things lead to really good health in the long term. And yet that scale doesn't reflect all those positive changes. And so when you compliment someone on their weight loss alone, you're basically saying that the only thing that's important is the number on the scale, not all those positive changes to your life, not that happiness or increased energy or increased mobility that they're feeling now. The second reason why weight loss is not a compliment is that it places a moralistic value on who that person is based on whether or not they lost weight. So when you say, oh, hey, you look awesome. How much weight have you lost? You have worked so hard on that weight loss. I can't believe how dedicated you've been, how determined you've been. I need to know all your secrets. So as someone who's been working really hard to lose weight, all of those things sound really great. Those sound like positive affirmations, like what you're doing in this moment to lose weight is great. It makes you a good person because, you know, being determined or being self-disciplined or being motivated or being a hard worker, all of those are characteristics that typically look good in our society. They're typically thought of as good characteristics. Therefore, if you have all those things, it might make you think like, oh, I'm a good person because I'm losing weight. But on the flip side, what happens when you gain that weight back? Because like we already said, 95% of diets fail, which means you're probably going to gain the weight back. So what happens then? How do people interact with you? They're not going to go up to you and be like, oh, hey, I see you gained that weight back. I mean, if they do, that's incredibly rude, so don't do that either. But they're also probably not going to be like, oh, hey, you look great because you gained that weight back. They're probably not going to say anything because they don't have that weight loss to praise you for. And so how do you think you're going to feel in the long run after that? You know, like you got all those compliments about how like disciplined and determined and how hardworking you are and how much effort you put into losing weight, and now you've gained that weight back. Does that take away those characteristics? Does it kind of negate or cancel them out because you've gained that weight back? Chances are you probably feel that way. So if you no longer have those good characteristics, there's a really good chance that you're going to start to feel bad about yourself and see yourself as like, oh, I'm a bad person because I wasn't self-disciplined enough. I didn't have enough self-control. I didn't work hard enough. And because I didn't do all those things, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good person. So do you see where giving someone a compliment can place that moral value on that person themselves? And that leads into the third reason why weight loss is not a compliment. You cannot look at someone, no matter their shape or size, and be able to see if they have an eating disorder or disordered eating. The fact of the matter is, eating disorders affect everyone, no matter their shape, no matter their size, no matter their gender identity, their race, their culture. Eating disorders affect everyone. It is estimated that 28 million Americans will suffer from an eating disorder in their lifetime. Eating disorders are the second deadliest mental health disorder in this country. And in fact, one person dies every 52 minutes from an eating disorder. Having an eating disorder is a serious risk to someone's mental and physical well-being. So if you're talking to someone with an eating disorder or even disordered eating, complimenting their weight or weight loss can be incredibly triggering for them. So if you can't tell who has an eating disorder, you don't actually know who you can possibly trigger by complimenting them for their weight loss. So say you have a friend and they lost a bunch of weight, and maybe they're suffering from binge eating disorder in silence. And for the last couple of weeks, they've been restricting because their binging has been so bad that they're like, the only way they can get a control over their binging or control over their eating disorder is by restricting their intake, which has resulted in weight loss. You congratulating them for that weight loss could trigger them in the sense that maybe they feel like, you know, they really don't have self-control because now that they started restricting, people are noticing the weight loss. Or maybe that so-called compliment will trigger them further to continue restricting, which means their body is not going to get the nutrients and the energy that it needs to function properly. Likewise, maybe someone has anorexia nervosa, and so you're complimenting them on their weight loss, and maybe they've been, you know, really restricting their intake and they've been exercising a couple times a day, and that's how they've achieved their weight loss. And so what you interpret as something that's really healthy isn't healthy for their well-being mentally and physically. And so that compliment, that so-called compliment that you're giving them, is only doing more damage than good. That's why it's really important, not only for this reason, but for the first two reasons that I have explained as well, that we don't use weight loss as a compliment, because you never know someone's full story as to why they've lost weight or what they're going through in their life. So I've kind of talked about like why you shouldn't use weight loss as a compliment, but let's talk about what you can do, because I don't want this whole video to be like what you can't do and why you shouldn't do it. Let's talk about things that you can do. The one thing you can do is just like ask the person how they're doing. I mean, if they're smiling and they look happy, you know, ask them what's making them happy. You know, maybe they really want to share like a really good thing that happened that day. Or if they're not feeling great, because, you know, we're in a pandemic and there's lots of stress to go around, it might feel nice for them to kind of like let all that stress kind of talk through it, get it off their chest. If they're a really good friend of yours, like talk to them about why they're good friends. Like, you know, so and so, I really appreciate the fact that you are such a great listener and you're always there for me when I need someone to talk to. Or you have such great style. I would love if you can give me a couple of pointers. Or you're such a great chef. Like, can you share your recipe for that dish that you brought to the potluck at work last week? That's like another way to kind of spread the positivity without being like, hey, you look great, you lost weight. Because again, we don't know why they lost weight. And the last thing you can do is compliment a characteristic that you really like about them. Like, maybe they're an awesome team player at work, and so you're like, you compliment them on, you know, I really like the fact that you're such a team player. You bring all these really creative ideas, you think outside of the box, you just really make our team flourish. You are so funny. Like, all those jokes that you tell during work meetings or when we're out to brunch are just fantastic and they make my day. And I love when you send those funny memes. Keep it up. So these type of compliments versus, you know, complimenting them about their weight places the focus on who they are as a person as opposed to what their body looks like, because a person is so much more than the weight and shape and size of their body. I hope you really enjoyed this video today and this discussion that we had. If you want any more information about, you know, health at every size, dieting, feel free to check out any of my social media links or my blog, which will all be linked down below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any more of my future videos. And I hope you have the best day ever. Bye.